All right. Now that we have this, our floor plan and our elevations upright, we're now ready to create our 3D wall. So before that, at the end of this video tutorial, learners should be able to use the extrude command to transform 2D floor plan elements into accurate 3D architectural forms. Apply the subtract command to create openings, voids, and other recessed elements within a 3D model. Utilize architectural elevations as references for determining wall heights and guiding the accurate development of the 3D model. And finally, convert closed objects into regions using the region command to prepare complex shapes for successful extrusion and other solid modeling operations. So to start, first we will need to clean our floor plan so that they don't these lines don't get away in the future when you're going to start modeling the wall. So in creating your extrusion, we will use the floor plan as our basis. In creating your extrusion, you must make sure that your lines are as one object and they are in a closed loop. For example, a rectangle or EC. This is a one object. This is one object. When you click, it's selected as one, or a PL, polyline, and make sure that the start and the end corners meet. So when you select, it's one object. So meaning we're not going to use the line command L, for example, this one. Because when you select the line command, those are separate lines. These are floor lines creating a square or a rectangle. So that one is not appropriate for creating our 3D wall. So let's not use that. To start, we're going to trace the exterior part of our floor plan and then the interior part of our floor plan. We're going to use two volumes to create our floor plan. So let's just create or use another color so that we could distinguish the lines that we are creating from these lines that we have here already. So we're going to use rectangle for easier tracing of the exterior and interior lines of the wall. So let's select the corner and then the other corner for a closed rectangle, and then another one for the interior, another REC or rectangle command, and then this one. So we now have two rectangles that we are going to extrude. Now for the extrude command, you're going to command EXT. This is what I've mentioned, that even though you are using 2D UI, you are still able to create 3D models if you know the commands. So extrude is EXT, oops, EXT, enter, and then you select the exterior and interior lines, and then you just hover your mouse. If it's going down, you move it downwards. If it's going up, you move it upwards. Now, since we are using our elevations as our basis, we're going to use it as the basis for the height of our wall. So if we're just going to move a little back, zoom a little back, when you select the height of the wall, you can see out from the what you're seeing here on the wall, it's already stating or reflecting the height of this wall. So click that, and then we have this height. If you want to verify, you can use the view cube. For example, front, if it has followed this height here, the basis here accurately. So you can do that. Or if you're familiar or you're aware of the height of the wall here, you can just input. Even though you're not selecting here, you can just input the number on your numeric keypad. So since we now have the volume for the exterior wall and the volume for the interior wall, these are separate objects because this one is one rectangle and then this one is another rectangle. When you extrude them, they're going to be two separate volumes. So when you're going to check them on your shade mode, and then for example you're going to select realistic or R, you're going to see two objects. That so it's not a wall yet because we need to subtract both of them. The interior wall, I mean, from the exterior wall, so that we will have a void here. So the subtract command, the command for that is su, subtract, and then you select the object that you're going to retain, which is the exterior wall, enter, and the object that you're going to delete, which is the interior wall. So when you enter that, it's going to create a void. So we now have a wall. And then when you select that, it's one entity because this is the exterior wall that we have previously just subtracted um, with the use of the interior wall that we have previously. Now, if you're going to create the voids from your elevation, since we already have these elevations, we're going to use the drawings or what we have here. Now, in creating your elevation, I mean, in creating the voids or the openings in your 3D wall, this is just one way to do this. But I've learned that this is easier since you already have references. So, for example, we're going to create the opening of the window here. So we're going to copy the extent of the openings, this one, and then you copy it um, aligned with the elevation, not going there or not going here. You just click on the outside so that it doesn't snap. And then you click, and before you extrude, like I've mentioned earlier, your object should be one entity. You can extrude this, right? But it's going to be a mesh. It's not the proper way of extruding when you're going to use that to create a void. It's not going to work, the mesh. So you just Control Z to go back. If you're going to create a volume here, that's the proper way of subtracting. You create a volume. Now to create that, we're going to use region command, REG, so that this will be a one entity object. So you can observe that it has become a plane, a mesh, a planar mesh. And then that's the time you can extrude that one to the first wall. Don't make it past the second wall because when you subtract that, it's going to affect this wall here. So just a little past the first wall, you can see it from here, and then you select outside so it doesn't snap, and then you're now ready to subtract that one. So as you select the object that you're going to retain, and select the object that you're going to subtract. So you now have an opening of your wall. So same with your door, you copy it, you copy the opening, and then you fillet. If it doesn't work, you can just create another line, and then you region so that you can extrude this as a volume. You extrude moving past the first wall, and then SU for subtraction, select the object that you're going to retain and select the object that you're going to subtract. Enter. So you now have an opening for your door. So that goes the same with your other elevation. So that's why it's easier when you have elevations already aligned with your floor plan, so that when you extrude the wall as a 3D, you can just create a copy of the opening and then you subtract it. Now you can actually copy all the objects as one if you want to make a an extrusion, so that you can just subtract them, extrude them as one, subtract them as one. So region again, you region them all since they are not as one, and then you extrude both of them just way past the first wall. And then when you subtract, you click the line that you're going to, or the object that you're going to retain, and then the objects that you're going to delete. And you now have openings for this side and another for this side. Oops. And this side. And you can region them both. Oops. Region them as, never mind, as one. Then extrude for this one here and for this one here. Then you subtract, click the objects, the volumes that you're going to delete, enter, and then you have voids or openings on your 3D wall. So that's how easy it is if you already have those elevations aligned with your floor plan. So the next step is to create now the details, or I mean the model for our doors and windows, as well as the floor and then the step that we have here. Right? So see you on the next video. Thank you. Bye.